Now to a significant update from Manchester United. They're speaking to a number of options about taking the interim head coach role until the end of the season, including their former manager Ole Gunnar Solskjær, Michael Carrick and interim Darren Fletcher. Let's speak to our football correspondent Rob Dorset. What further detail can you add to that?
Well, that's pretty big news in its own right, isn't it? That we can tell you at this afternoon on Sky Sports News. The fact that Manchester United have now begun the process, they are talking to candidates, I think is significant. And I think it's also significant that three former Old Trafford favourites are in the mix for a possible return to take on this interim manager's role. Now, what's been explained to me from various people that I've been speaking to is that United are primarily looking for an interim manager until the end of the season, but they certainly haven't ruled out the possibility that from these conversations with head coaches and available managers that they're having right now, they might find somebody that they decide they want to give the job to substantively. But the focus right now is for an interim coach, and it looks like they're primarily looking at people that they know. There are other candidates they're speaking to as well beyond those, but the fact that Michael Carrick, Ole Gunnar Solskjær and Darren Fletcher are three names that have been spoken to about the role, I think is significant. Pretty clear that Manchester United wants somebody who can hit the ground running, who knows the club well and who can take United on from a pretty strong position in the league. They're only sixth in the Premier League right now, and see where they go from there. It's Jason Wilcox, the Director of Football, who's leading the process. He's had some informal conversations, is the way it's been described to me so far, with all of these candidates, but he's expected to conduct more formal interviews with some of them going forward over the coming days before he makes a recommendation for Sir Jim Ratcliffe to make the rubber stamp the final decision. No timescale's been set, but from what I'm gleaning between the lines, it sounds like that Fletcher will be in charge for this game against Burnley on Wednesday night in the Premier League, and then against Brighton in the FA Cup on Sunday. I think it's going to be difficult for United to get somebody in before then, and he is himself a contender for the interim role until the end of the season. But I think from United's point of view, they've always seen him as a promising coach for the future. He's been working with the under-18s, remember. He's never worked with the first team before. So I think there are certain concerns that maybe throwing him in at the deep end with United so well placed for the rest of the season is a big ask. But certainly, from what I've been told, he's had a really good impact on the players already. They've liked working with him. He had his first training session with them yesterday. They like the way that he communicates with them. And the players know Darren Fletcher anyway very well. Because he's
two of them very well.
Well, exactly, because he's always around the camp. You know, he's always around there. So I think that helps him. But Carrick and Ole Gunnar Solskjær are both seen as good possibilities to come into the club as well. They're both currently out of work. They're both available without paying any compensation. I think that's significant. And so this could move quite quickly from here now. But depending on what Jason Wilcox feels from the conversations that he's having with these people, I think that's the question about how it moves on from here. United want to make sure that their next substantive appointment is the right one. They can't afford to keep chopping and changing the manager. They know that. They know how important the next appointment is. But they're also in a really good position this season to try and make Champions League football, so they don't want to throw away that opportunity. So it's a difficult balancing act for them, I think, at the moment. But big breaking news, significant news, I think, this afternoon on Sky Sports News, that three former Manchester United favourites, Ole Gunnar Solskjær, Michael Carrick and Darren Fletcher, have all been spoken to and are all in the mix to potentially become the next Manchester United interim boss for the rest of the season.
I think we spoke yesterday, as well as the news broke, that there is the potential for the managerial market to really explode this summer. A couple of people we've heard from this afternoon, Premier League managers are out of contract. Then there is the World Cup, where again some stellar names may well leave their post after the tournament.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And look, I think you've got to try and separate the two situations that we've got here. United are looking for an interim at the moment, but that could change because they want to make sure they get the right appointment in the summer. And Oliver Glasner is out of contract, as we just heard from him there in the summer. Marco Silva is out of contract. Andoni Iraola is out of contract. And there's also the possibility of Kieran McKenna and Roberto De Zerbi. Now, I'm throwing those names out there. We haven't had any confirmation that they are in Manchester United's thoughts or on their shortlist. But those are the sorts of managers I think they would be considering. And as you say, the fact that a lot of those are much easier to get in the summer is influencing Manchester United's decision here. If you're making such a big, important decision, why would you make that in January, February time, when the people you might want to be speaking to you can't get until the summer? I think they're very conscious of that, and that's why it's a very fluid situation at Old Trafford, and particularly at Carrington's training ground right now, with a lot of people talking, a lot of thinking going on. And of course all of this has been brought about because United sacked Ruben Amorim before they wanted to. It all happened pretty suddenly in the end because of that rapid breakdown in relationships between him and the director of football, Jason Wilcox. I think there were long-term concerns about what the club felt was his inability to evolve his tactics and work the best with the players that he got. Performances were not great, results weren't great against the likes of Wolves and Everton. So that led to a gradual undermining of the relationship and confidence in the head coach. But it was that explosive meeting he had with Jason Wilcox on Friday which I think brought things to a head. So the fact that United have had to make this decision suddenly and quicker than they wanted to means they're not in a position to make a quick decision now to appoint somebody else. But what this news we're bringing you right now is significant in telling us is that they're starting to make those moves with Solskjær, Fletcher and Michael Carrick all in the mix potentially to become the next interim boss.
Now to Manchester United, we know that Darren Fletcher will be in charge for tomorrow's match against Burnley, but who will be the next manager, and should it be a permanent appointment now or in the summer? Let's go live to reporter Sani Rudravajala, who's overlooking Old Trafford. Good morning to you, Sani. Just set out what's happening at the club today.
Hey Tom, good morning. Yeah, well, today is a huge day, in particular for Darren Fletcher, who steps up from being the under-18s manager, which he started at the beginning of this season, to become the interim manager of Manchester United. And he will be addressing the media at 5 o'clock live on Sky Sports News. He'll be taking charge of Manchester United ahead of facing Burnley in the Premier League tomorrow. So that's the big news there. Remember as well, of course, Fletcher's own two twin sons are in that Manchester United senior squad now, so lots of a very exciting moment for him, I'm sure, for his two sons as well, and I'm sure the media will also be asking questions about that family connection as well. We believe that he will have Travis Binion and Alan Wright assisting him in the dugout, who both work with him in the youth level as well. So he's got some extra hands around him because he is very new to the management game, having only just started the under-18s role, as I mentioned, this summer, but previously was part of the United setup, working alongside John Murtough, looking at loans, looking at a more sporting directorial area, if you like. So that's where Fletcher's at the moment. As far as new manager goes, well, Tom, yesterday I spent the entire day talking to Manchester United fans out and about in the city centre, and nobody had a conclusive answer. Today as well, been speaking to more fans too, some a bit closer to the club, and the names you could basically throw at any name at the moment, and in amongst those there could be a possibility. Gareth Southgate's one name that's been mentioned, principally because well, he's not working for anyone else at the moment, and therefore wouldn't cost United any money, and given the fact that they spent so much, that net 200 million in the summer, plus bringing in and then paying off Ruben Amorim, there might not be that much finance to go for, and somebody who's not working could therefore be in the frame. But then someone like Oliver Glasner from Crystal Palace, maybe in the summer, is one that has been mentioned too. So lots and lots of names that are out there, and it could at this moment in time be anyone, and it gives us lots and lots to debate about at the moment.
It does. Sani, thank you. Well, Gary Neville has set out his managerial blueprint for Manchester United, and he believes the next permanent manager needs a certain style of play.
Manchester United have got to appoint a manager that fits the DNA of their football club. Ajax will never change for anybody. Barcelona will never change for anybody. I don't believe Manchester United should change for anybody. They should play the way in which they play. And these managers that have come in are fantastic managers. Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, Eric Ten Hag, Ruben Amorim, they're brilliant coaches. You can't say they're not good coaches, Ole Gunnar Solskjær, but they've all come in with different ideas, different styles of play, different philosophies, and none of them really fit the Manchester United way. So for me, the club have to find a manager now who's got experience, who's willing to play fast, entertaining, attacking, aggressive football. Simple as that. Manchester United do need to return to a back four with wide players who can go and basically attack with. You know, it's been a real struggle for the last 10 or 12 years for all these good managers and coaches that have come to Old Trafford to try and get the results that the club demand. And we can't keep getting it wrong. We've got to get it right at some point.
Right, we're going to get back to Manchester United in just a moment. We've got some managerial breaking news, but it comes from the Championship, and it's bad news for Ryan Mason because West Brom have just announced in the last few seconds that they have sacked their head coach, Ryan Mason. It was his first full-time managerial role at a club, and they're currently at the moment in the table. They are 18th in the table. It was only last Friday that with our guests, where some of the viewers were asking Charlie Austin, a former West Brom striker, if they were going to get into the playoffs this season. Well, they've slipped down to 18th in the table after that defeat against Leicester last night. So Ryan Mason has been sacked by West Brom. Right, OK, it's all about managers at the moment, isn't it? Listen to Gary Neville there. Let's have a look at his checklist. Neville thinks that United need an experienced coach and a proven winner. They need fast, attacking, aggressive football. He thinks a return to a back four with wide attacking players is a must. Right, OK. First of all, Jay, do you agree with those things there that Gary's saying? And who fits the bill?
I mean, yes, I do. I mean, and Gary Neville obviously knows the club. He's in and around the club. He knows what's expected with the standards of Man United Football Club. But in terms of experienced manager, I mean, unless you're looking at someone like Ancelotti, but he's an international manager as well, maybe bringing him to do two jobs. I mean, like,
is that feasible? Ancelotti is perfect.
I mean,
right? But he's currently Brazil manager. Could you really do both when you got the World Cup in a few months?
I mean, and that's the thing. I think if there wasn't a World Cup, then maybe so. But I think because there is, I think you have to count those kind of managers out.
So that would include Tuchel for now.
Yeah, exactly. But then I would be looking at another experienced manager. I think would be Emery. Emery's a fantastic manager. He's experienced in the Premier League. He's got Aston Villa third in the table. He's successful in Europe. He demands respect. He pulls no punches. And I mean, he's got a good relationship with Marcus Rashford as well. So, I mean, maybe he could come back and persuade him to stay at Man United. But I think ultimately someone like him, I think would be a really good fit. He plays four at the back. He plays attacking football. He likes his wingers. So I think that would be a great addition. But again, you're going to have to pay his compensation. Yeah,
I actually can't even see him on the list of odds. We can get the list of odds up here. I can't actually find a one for Emery. Oh, there he is. Sorry, we have got him. He's there. Look, so if you look at that, so Glasner favourite at the moment. Then it's Fletcher, who's caretaker manager. Then you've got Maresca, Solskjær, Carrick, Southgate, Hoeneß, Xavi, McKenna, and then Emery there at 25 to 1. So Emery stands out there. Ancelotti's not there, who I know you've got. Let's say they go for someone till the end of the season. All right, which they might do. Whether they should or not, that's a different debate. But if they do, is there anyone in there who you'd go till the end of the season?
Michael Carrick. I think he's done fantastically well at Middlesbrough. He's a young manager. He knows Man United. He was a first-team coach or assistant manager. I don't see why not. If you're going to give someone the job to the end of the season, why not?
Managers that don't quite make the Championship playoffs, you love putting them in the big clubs.
No, he knows Man United. You're saying to the end of the season, so I'm saying if it's to the end of the season, why not give him the job because he knows the club?
Senior finished 7th in the Championship, and you're saying him at Chelsea, but fair enough. So that's Jay's view. Let's get